evening, race fans, and welcome to Rockingham Speedway tonight, brought to you by Team Goon Squad and the ASRC, the American Sim Racing Club, presenting their Super Late Model Touring Series here tonight. And we welcome all our fans back to watch another exciting episode of what will be, I'm sure, a thrilling race here at the Rock. I'm your host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action 1080p, 60 FPS, providing the internet is able to sustain such a pace. Drivers just getting ready for lone qualifying here at the Rock. As we're right now, Payne sitting just on the exit there, just about to start getting underway. Some drive out on track. That's going to be Hayden Swank making his way around. Double file restarts here tonight. One set of one set of 4 tires at the on the back of the wall there. These drivers can decide to put on during any of the 60 laps of tonight's feature race. Heat race is going to be 5 laps as Donovan Cardy sets the fastest lap around at the moment. Hayden Swank, literally as we watched him, just set the new fastest as he goes from high to low and almost loses it on the back end there. As he continues to make his way around this one. Going around one more time, just improves just a slight bit on his pass time. John Kane making his way through as well. There's a whole bunch of the drivers. Peyton fills up into 6th position, saw him jump. Casey into the 7th spot. And Andrew Payne sets it a little bit late, but gets on pole. Just as we pan to him, he's decided he doesn't want to be on camera, a little camera shy. Andrew Payne being in the top spot. Fleury coming down pit road. Good to practice that pit entry, as we're going to go from speeds of around 165 mile an hour all the way down to a very snail-like 40 miles an hour on the track here tonight at North Carolina. Charles Darling and Eric Hayne, your last 2 drivers out on track trying to improve their times. Darling up into the 5th spot. Nice improve there as Eric Hayne tries to make his final way around. Fortunately, being able to improve too much in his run there. But as we get ready to grid off for the first heat race of the night, we are going to start here. Brett Hayne will be starting on pole for this heat race here tonight. John Demester in second position. Ryan Wilderson in 3rd spot. Stephen Hoffman will be on the 2nd row next to him in the 4th position. Donovan Cardy in the 5th spot. Nick Fleury, who's just made his way onto the grid a little bit later than the rest of the pack, starting on his outside, I believe, in 6th position. And Andrew Payne, 7th spot. All right, drivers dealing with penalties from previous races, getting all dialed up and positioned the way they are meant to be. So we're actually going to be starting this one with with Wilderson in first. Donovan looks like going to be starting up in second position. Donovan dropping to third now, sorry. Stephen Hoffman is going to be in second position. So Hoffman on the outside line, so exactly where we expected. Donovan Carty in third, Andrew Payne fourth, Fleury in fifth, and Demesta in sixth. Brett Hayne, fortunately, not able to make his way out. Hahn, I believe it's Hahn, so I have made that mistake before and seem to continue to do so as they basically go single file, except for Stephen Hoffman just there. And we get this one underway. Hoffman files in behind Wilderson now. Carty and Payne going side by side. Payne tries to make that move work. Nothing doing though as Carty throws it in deep on the outside line. Hoffman not able to prevent the speed from that machine. The 3 machine really showing speed already on the high side, catching right up to Wilderson. Hoffman getting a little bit loose there. Andrew Payne sticks it in the high side after seeing Carty go through. He wants a piece of it. Carty underneath Wilderson now. Going to make that move stick as we experience quite the heat race already. There's only 3 laps to go. Very short heat races tonight. On this 1 mile speedway, Wilderson falls behind Payne as well as Payne continues to work the inside line. Carty able to break free a little bit. Payne not too far behind. Hoffman and Wilderson having a battle. Fleury's trying to get his nose involved in that as well in the 25 machine. As Wilderson continues to hold it up there. Hoffman a little bit lower than he wanted to be. Fleury tried to take advantage. Not quite able to do so. As Payne is looking to go around Carty here for the top spot. Almost gets alongside the quarter panel. As they come to the white flag, Barney's getting ready to wave it. As Andrew Payne underneath Donovan Carty. Fantastic racing. In the back, we've got a little bit of a wreck happening. Fleury's gone round. The white is already out. It's not going to end up in a yellow. We're going to continue heading around. Donovan Carty pulls in behind, unable to get anything done. Andrew Payne just dominating. Very close race for third as well. So, very intense sprint race to start off tonight's event. Something I certainly did not expect to see out of these drivers. That was very hectic, and I'm sure we're going to see another episode of that once again. We get ready for our second heat race of the night. Grid for this one is going to be Eric Hahn starting up. At the moment, I've got Dante Hewer, Eric Hahn, Zach Roush, Nicholas Casey, Donovan McDonald, Charles Darling, and Hayden Swank in the 7th position. Now, I believe there's going to be a slight bit of a change to this one as well as what we saw previously. As Zach Roush now showing, or Zach Rush, excuse me, showing in the number 1 spot. Eric Hahn just behind, Devin McLeod in 3rd. Nicholas Casey in 4th, Hayden Swank in 5th, Charles Darling and Dante Hewer on the inside line by himself there in the 4th row. So quite a lot of shake-ups we have to say. Not necessarily all penalties either. I believe this group runs a system of starting from last if they perform quite well in the previous race. And here we go. There's already very close action. 3 wide. And there's a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a niggle. Caution is out. 5 wide. Almost looked like it. I believe it was 4, not 5, but it looked very close indeed. They're going to get that one queued up for you. So it was just a really iffy start. Rush got a little bit slow, but it looked like He was expected to go quicker than that by the 18 machine, and then just a little bit of a bobble, little bit of nerves in these drivers behind their right foot, and just unfortunately getting a bit ahead of themselves, I believe. We're going to feel this one out once again. A little bit of damage on some of these cars. Too much of a problem though. Might take one more quick look as these drivers continue to make their way around. So it looked like the 18 just misjudged. The 82 was going to go and then just couldn't, yeah, just couldn't get it locked up and loaded to go 3 wide round the corner to T1. And there was the result. But we get ready for what looks like it's going to be a single file restart here. Currently, Zach Rush, the top spot. Devin McDonald in second. Nicholas Casey and Charles Darling, third and fourth. Dante Hura in fifth. Eric Hahn and Hayden Swank, sixth and seventh position. Zach Rush gets the green call. And out front he goes. McDonald judges it beautifully as McDonald really wants to get around Rush for the early lead. A little bit further back, Swank and Hahn are going to go side by side. Swank goes round underneath. We saw a very, very quick qualifying time for him as he makes his way around. Very close battle as Hura and Swank get together. Swank gets turned around. Sorry, not Swank. That was going to be Charles Darling. Recognize the paint scheme. Wrong word came out of my mouth as Zach Rush continues to follow around McLeod as McLeod has made that move. Casey's following behind as well, quite close. Closing the gap ever so slightly. Devin McDonald with the last time by is going to have your fastest lap of this heat race so far. 23 seconds. As Hayden Swank has just beaten that one at 23.6 to McDonald's 23.7. So they're going to be very, very close as Casey's fallen a little bit back behind Rush at the moment. Swank is going to take real advantage of the very wide machine of Nicholas Casey. Swank goes round. Swank always in those vivid colors that are very easy to spot out on track. A little bit of a different paint scheme for him coming in tonight, but it's going to be your final lap here in this second heat race of the night. Devin McDonald is going to take the win. Rush in second, and Swank in third, followed by Casey, Hua, and Darling. Just get in seventh position. So we're going to have one final, it looks like, sprint race. Starting up front, it is looking like you're going to have John Kane. Lee Campbell is going to be in second. David Payton in third. James Pileski in fourth. And Franklin Evans in fifth. Do show Tanner Tellerico starting in there as well. Tanner is our race control for tonight, unfortunately being shown on our broadcasting software. Not the actual race, regardless of how it shows him track. So a little bit of weaving left and right, trying to get some more heat in the tires just before we get underway. 5 cars. You can see Franklin Evans at the back there almost smoking the tires, it looked like. Getting ready to get up and grooving, as my mum would say. Groove it and groove it. She thinks that's what young people say, and it is not. as we get ready to go underway. Pace Truck's lights are out. He's made the dive down pit road, and John Kane, Lee Campbell are going to head this one off. No shufflings of the field since we have announced it. There's a little bit of a jump in the back. 3 wide already. There's going to be an accident pretty quickly involving all 4 drivers. And unsurprisingly, a caution has come out. That was a very hectic start. So yeah, it looks like Franklin Evans just misjudged the launch, got into the back of Pileski. Pileski takes it 3 wide and just nowhere to go. He almost gets sandwiched between the cars. 27 gets spun around, and Evans just plows on through. 38 machine almost toppling over, managing to avoid it. But every single driver in this race here, and this heat race here tonight, in the third one are involved in that incident, except for our man up front, John Kane. Interesting to see John Kane dropping behind Lee Campbell there. Didn't expect to see that one, as the caution, I believe, did come out almost immediately, considering that wreck happened before the green flag was actually flown. So that may have contributed to Lee Campbell starting in front up here. Go back to green flag, but Lee Campbell currently your race leader. John Kane in second. David Payton in third. Franklin Evans in fourth. And James Pileski will be in fifth position for this single file restart. As it looks like Franklin Evans allowing a fair bit of a gap to get the early run. You could see was expecting it. Misjudged it though, as Lee Campbell took a little bit longer than he expected to get underway. White flag seems to be showing. We'll see if that's true or not, as I have been thrown that curveball before. As John Kane in second position. Franklin Evans really fighting Payton. Payton goes to the inside line. Scoops underneath John Kane. Not able to do it. And yes, I have been tricked by my software. We're still under green. I thought that might be the case. I'm glad I was right this time. As John Kane sticks it high, Lee Campbell underneath. Payton gets strung out to dry behind him as Evans goes way to the high side, 3 wide, gets it done. Payton falls back. 27 gets hucked into a little bit. Payton goes for a wild ride. I believe we're going to stay green though, as Pileski just looked like got into the back of Lee Campbell there on the exit. Franklin Evans now on the charge to get John Kane, as Payton comes down pit road, not wanting to get involved in causing any more issues with a stricken race car in this heat race. So great job from him, as John Kane continues to lead Franklin Evans around. Evans only 0.2 faster that last time by, so 200, sorry, so might be able to fend off Franklin Evans, and does so, as Evans finishes behind Kane, and Pileski finishes in third, with Campbell and Payton in fifth position. So those were our 3 heat races of the night. A nice healthy grid coming out here. We settle in for the warm-up to get ready for our 60-lap feature event. track at Rockingham was actually used as a filming location for Days of Thunder. Just a little bit of side trivia there. And I'm sure that quite a few people here have seen Days of Thunder, and if not, then you are missing out. My favorite NASCAR film. And yes, that includes Talladega Nights, which I will brutally be honest and tell you I did not find that very funny. A lot of people have strong opinions on that one after me saying that, and I'm sure I'll hear about it soon enough. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just didn't think it was as good as Days of Thunder, and not as funny either, which I know will be probably very controversial. But regardless, Rockingham Speedway was actually opened in 1965, quite a long time ago, and has changed from being a flat track, which it was then built as, to only 4 years later being turned into the banked D we have today. So the warm-up just finishing there. You can see almost timed it perfectly with the countdown. Rush showing us how to do a barrel roll, because apparently Star Fox wasn't good enough. As we get ready to grid up for our feature event. As I said, 60 laps and getting ready, starting off. Andrew Payne is going to be on pole, no stranger to it at all. Devin McDonald going to be starting on his outside in the front row. John Kane in the second row and Donovan Carty alongside. Zach Rush in fifth and Franklin Evans alongside in the third row. Ryan Wilderson and Hayden Swank in fourth row. James Pileski and Stephen Hoffman will be in the fifth row. Nicholas Casey and Lee Campbell will be in your sixth row. As we cycle it on back, John DeMister and Dante Hewer will be in your seventh row. David Payton and Nick Fleury, with a bit of a rough heat race, are going to be starting in your eighth row. Charles Darling, and we've got Tallarico showing there once again. Reminder, he is not in the actual race, so Brett Hahn will be in that 18th place position in our ninth row, and Eric Hahn will be in our final spot here tonight. Get ready to roll them down the start-finish straight. And around once again, Payne getting very close, having a bit of a sniff to the inside of the pace truck, letting him know he's here. I wouldn't want to get too close to that thing, as it is quite a lot higher up and probably will go over the bonnet and do some damage to these Super Late models here tonight. Get ready. I love seeing the paint jobs of all these cars on track here in this league. The American Sim Racing Club hosting fantastic events all year long. As Andrew Payne gets a huge jump straight out of the gate. Donovan McDonald almost left wanting, as Donovan Carty jumps behind him, though, able to keep John Kane behind. There's going to be quite fierce battles all around. That big jump really throwing a spanner in the works as cars hit the wall on the exit. They go fan out like crazy. Wilderson getting passed around by Stephen Hoffman. Hoffman actually not able to do that, so Wilderson going to stick it out. Pileski goes into the inside of Hoffman now, as Hoffman's had to stick it out wide. We're going to pan it up back on front. Devin McDonald was under fire from Donovan Carty. Carty nothing doing though. McDonald falling back into the second position just behind Andrew Payne, who's built up 4/10 of a gap already. McDonald with actually the fastest lap that time by, so quite fascinating. As I say that, gets instantly changed to Hayden Swank, who's the last of this top 6, all in a group on their own. Just ahead, you can see Cardi getting taken over there by Franklin Evans. Evans shown he has the pace and has shown it through the feature, through the heat, and he will continue to show it, I'm sure, for the next 55 or so laps as we get ready to go the distance. A little bit further back, Brett Hahn has made his way up quite a bit, 6 spots already. Your quickest mover, as he's got Fleury just behind, Hoffman just in front. Hoffman tries to move on the outside of Peyton, as Peyton gets stuck on the low side. I say stuck, but I'm not quite sure, as it seems like both grooves have their advantages and disadvantages. As Peyton makes it work underneath Rush. Rush checks up a little bit. We've got 2 wide, 3 deep almost, as these cars are getting very skittish on the exit here. It looks like Rush is going to be left to dry, as Fleury goes underneath. Hoffman tries to follow him through. Hoffman will do so. Darling there trying to get his nose in the mix as well. Ewer just behind, under fire by Demister. This is back in the pack. These two going at it for 17th position. As we go back up front, Andrew Payne is under fire. Donovan Cardi has made his way around Devon McDonald into the 2nd position. We've seen the 3 and the 93 in the past weeks, showing incredible pace. So it will be one to watch as we see these two really fight it out here. As you can see, the ticker above the cars on screen at the moment showing all these cars pretty close together. There's no one really falling behind too much. There's not a second gap anywhere between any of these drivers, as it looks like it's a nice single file line for a little bit. Franklin Evans charging it in very deep behind McDonald. Just had a pass at the back here. Charles Darling going around Zach Rush. Rush struggling with the handling of that car, it looks like. So Rush falling back a little bit into the clutches of Eric Hahn. Eric Hahn trying to get that 711 machine up and running. Quick snap. As we go further up, it looks like there's going to be almost a touch and an issue. I'm sure there was contact there to cause that. Both drivers having really the control underneath them and the peace of mind to know how to control their vehicle as it gets sliding sideways. So fantastic by both of them. As I get caught up in the excitement here, as Franklin Evans has gone past McDonald. Hayden Swank followed through. John Kane almost looked like he thought about going as well, but has gotten reeled in by Pileski. As this series provides action absolutely everywhere, as Pileski and John Kane go side by side, continue to go side by side. As Pileski is going to make that move, almost slam the door a little bit on John Kane here. Kane falling back into the clutches of Wilderson. Wilderson running the high side. We saw that in the heat race from Wilderson. He seemed to be doing very well on the high side up there, so might be able to get it doing here around John Kane, and does so. Look at that, a very good move. A little bit further back, we saw Brett Hahn just get sliding sideways. I believe just very, very small tap of the wall. That will bring out a safe caution. Brett Hahn in the 71 machine we are watching right now. Oh, actually got tagged by... Oh, got tagged by the 25 machine. I believe that's going to be Nick Fleury there. Fleury with a full head of steam. And not realizing that Hahn was going to be checking up just a little bit too much. And unfortunately, the result Well, I have almost run out of breath, and we're not even 15 laps into this race. These drivers certainly know how to put on a show, and are no stranger to the limelight on camera. Racetrack light's still on, so we will go around one more time. Let us know if you're watching the broadcast who your favorite driver is. We will try and pan back and get you some information on how they are doing in this current race. But really, I won't have much more to say than they're doing amazing. Because that seems to be the way for almost every single driver in this one. As our software once again struggling as we get Payne situated up in the spot. Once Campbell makes his way around, I believe Lee Campbell got the wave around, so showing up there on top, but I'm sure that will sort itself out. Due course, there it is. As Andrew Payne, Donovan Carty, your top row, Hayden Swank, Franklin Evans in your second row, James Pileski and Devon McDonald. Third row to get us back onto green. And the pace truck almost losing the rear end as he comes down. Andrew Payne with a very quick jump as we've fully grown to expect from Andrew Payne. Donovan Carty not being left as far in the dust as we almost expected. Franklin Evans getting a nice jump at the start as well. Hayden Swank trying to follow him through on the inside. It looks like Carty's going to be stuck on the wall. Easy does it as Carty comes back down, forms himself back in line, has to reevaluate his decisions and decide to maybe take it a little bit easy on these next few laps. The tires cool down a little bit from being tucked up against the wall on the outside there. Got battles absolutely everywhere. Hoffman, we were just about to pan back to him as he looked like he was going to go and try something on Wilderson. And almost does so again as Darling just behind, going very wide, trying to get the run down. Followed by John Kane just behind. A little bit of battle just further up front. Donovan Carty trying very hard to get around Pileski. Pileski not going to make it easy as Carty smashes into the back. Absolute wicked save. Mad driving skills. Hang 10, bro. As Pileski keeps it going underneath him, but that causes a massive chain behind. As cars just situate everywhere, trying to get themselves sorted in this big pack. As just behind, Nicholas Casey trying to go underneath David Payton, and does so. Han trying to follow through. Han in the 71 machine trying to follow through as Payton gets stuck up on the high side, does so without much concern. Darling getting a little bit loose just ahead. John Kane, Nick Fleury going side by side. Fleury having to start from well back in the pack, not where he's used to starting so far this season. And having a tough time working his way back as all these drivers showing tremendous skill levels. Speaking of, Donovan McLeod side by side with Donovan Carty. I don't know why I said Donovan McLeod. I'm sorry, that's Devon McDonald. That's a pretty cool sounding name though, as Stephen Hoffman goes underneath Ryan Wilderson, making that move for the 6th position. Hoffman diving down much deeper, much quicker than the rest of the cars in front. So Hoffman looking very racy to the entry of these corners. And might try something, and looks like he does. The 18 goes a little bit wide and tries to come down. Hoffman's there, be careful. As McDonald had to go back up the racetrack to let the 86's nose be there. It's your closest battle on track at the moment as they're literally door banging it out of turn 2, heading into 3. Stephen Hoffman looking like he has a little bit more of a lunge and does so around McDonald. Squeezes McDonald all the way up. Absolutely not making it easy for the 18 machine to get another run back to gain the position. Wilderson tries underneath. 3 wide, Pileski diving in deep. It almost results in a problem, but thankfully does not. As great awareness from all drivers there. Darling involved in that as well. Very close to the outside wall on the high side. Darling going higher than any other driver at the moment. You see a little bit of dust fly up from Hoffman just ahead. As he tags the outside wall, Hahn getting underneath the yellow line. That could wrestle with the controls, thankfully. Able to keep it pointed very well in the right direction. And this is just absolute chaos up here. As Hahn continues to work the underneath of Darling. And Darling continues to stay as high as possible around the rock. Darling has taken the position that time by through as Hahn takes it back, and Darling will get the run off of the exit once again. These two side by side with Casey just behind. As this is by far and away the closest battle on track because they're still side by side and right next to each other. Absolutely great stuff as Casey looking to take advantage of Darling being on the high side. Hahn goes through finally. Darling gets stuck up there. And McDonald is falling like a fly after it's been swatted. Not sure what's caused that, but he gets the car back up underneath him. And gets it fired up once again. Gonna make his way back through the field, I'm sure. We've seen a lot of pace out of McDonald as Swank goes around Evans for now the second place spot. Evans almost gets into the back bumper of Hayden Swank's 35 machine. Almost halfway. We're about halfway through this race actually now that I look at it once again. These two battling just like everyone else on track. It's been absolute chaos, but in a good way, as David Payton continues to try and work on Nick Fleury back here in the 11th position, or the fight for the 11th position. John Kane just looking on just behind. Fleury in the 25, Payton in the 38. Very similar paint schemes, and yet oh so different at the same time. Just a little bit more orange and a little bit more yellow. As it looks like there may be a very close battle happening just behind them as well. McDonald trying desperately to get back up to the front after his fallback. Rush goes way up wide on the entry, and McDonald goes way down low on the exit. Rush falls back, falling behind Eric Hahn now as well. And Dante Hewer trying to take advantage as well. So Rush falling back further than he would like to at this stage of the race. Casey up very high and wide. Pileski underneath him. Somehow doesn't hit the wall. Not sure how that was possible. It's the 86 machine looking very strong on the high side. Pileski not able to make as much ground as he would want. Followed closely by Darling, Fleury, Peyton. And just lurking behind all of them, John Kane, as it almost goes round for Pileski. Pileski is almost unrivaled car control. In the super late model, we've seen examples of it time and time again. It looks like Peyton has been able to get around Nick Fleury for the 11th spot. Battle's heating up a little bit further ahead. Brian Wilderson just behind Stephen Hoffman and Donovan Carty, as well as Brett Hahn just behind. Hahn, your biggest move of the race, up 12 spots. Which out of 19 drivers, that's pretty incredible. When you think about it, up in the 7th position, starting at the back, making his way all the way to the front. Brett showing some insane pace here in traffic as Donovan Carty goes high and Hoffman tries to work his way around. Underneath Donovan Carty. Looks like Wilderson will shove his nose in the mix. Almost gets collecting Stephen Hoffman there. Hahn's going to take advantage of that little mistake. Hahn's going to get another spot. Almost dives it in below Hoffman. Hoffman says no. Hoffman, no stranger to having pressure right on his doorstep and being able to fend it off like a true professional here. As it looks like Charles Darling has just made his round. Pileski, and we tune in right at the time. Pileski saves it once again. This man has no limits. Even the limits of the car have been breached, but the limits of his arms have not. As he continues to wrestle with the controls of that machine. Pileski might have used up a few too much tire. A few too much rubber. Bits of rubber on his tire. I'll say that in a proper way next time. As we have a caution that has come out. I believe that was Eric Hahn. Oh, he's upside down. And that is not how you're supposed to park your car. Hahn. Oh, gets a shove. Whoa. Upside down through the entirety of the back straight. Hits the outside wall and comes careening back down on track. Thankfully, not collecting any other driver. So we gotta watch that one more time just because we can. Goes on the high side there. Watch this gyro cam. Very orange inside the cockpit of that one. Just gets tagged on the inside. That'll spin him around and... Whoa, that's one hell of a ride on the roof. Hits the wall, comes back down. Thankfully, no cars coming by. And unfortunately, just gets turned around. So I believe that was Dante Hewer who unfortunately got into the back of Eric Hahn there. And it looks like every single driver has come down pit road, unsurprisingly. Get some fresh rubber underneath them. Some very interesting strategy calls potentially playing out, though, as it looks like Charles Darling and Stephen Hoffman currently sitting in first and second all of a sudden. Seems like they took only 2 tires. Rest of the field behind them taking 4. So certainly something I did not expect to see. McDonald spending a long time down pit road, as we saw McDonald had that issue earlier on where he fell back. So the hits just keep coming. The craziness just keeps crazying. And the feet stay to the floor. Got Mason Highball joining us in the broadcaster area, the spectator area for the broadcast. Shouting out Andrew Payne and Brett Hahn. Get her done, boys. Well, they have been getting it done. That sounded weird out of my mouth just then, but they have been getting it done out on track at the moment, as I'm sure you've borne witness to, Mason. As we get ready to go green once again, 20 laps to go, fresh tyres on all these cars, except for Charles Darling and Stephen Hoffman trying to play a little bit of a strategy game. So your front row, Charles Darling, Stephen Hoffman, as I said, trying something different. Andrew Payne, Ryan Wilderson in row 2, Donovan Carty and Zach Rush in row 3. Darling gets a huge run up front. Hoffman left wanting. Andrew Payne gets a nice run as well. Hoffman's going to dive it down, cut off any run from Carty just behind. Wilderson also struggling a little bit there. Speaking of struggling, Franklin Evans. A lot of smoke coming out the back of that machine as Payne makes his way around to take the lead away from Darling. It's a little bit loose on exit. Darling is going to lead that lap. So these two will continue to battle for at least a couple of corners more as they head out of 2 now. Darling is going to have to tuck behind Payne. You see Wilderson going to the underside of Evans, trying it. Didn't seem like it was going to work. Wilderson seeming to be a lot more comfortable on the high side. Evans comfortable everywhere he goes. Little bit of a battle further back. Brett Hahn once again going underneath Hayden. Hayden Swank just in front as well, closing the door and trying to get around Rush just ahead of him. This is for 9th. Zach Rush is in, so 9th, 10th, and 11th. 3 cars under an absolute blanket. Peyton tries to get his nose in there as well and does so. Not underneath, not for now, as Swank makes the move. Bit of a dive bomb, but enough to allow Rush to really see it coming. Hahn goes through with authority. Underneath, no stopping Brett Hahn at the moment as the 71 machine makes his way through the field. Still your biggest mover out on track. Or I would say, if Charles Darling had not made that move to do the interesting strategies he's hung out to dry at the moment. Donovan Carty underneath. Franklin Evans not giving anyone any space. as he hooks it up real tight to all the drivers. Darling on the high side, loses it a bit, gets into Evans. Darling did not go around. Fantastic. I am absolutely gobsmacked by how these drivers are able to hang on to it. Speaking of, Wilderson almost gets turned around there as he gets collided into by Casey on the high side. What a rambunctious group of scallywags. They are really going at it. Charles Darling is at the moment your biggest mover. Nick Fleury as well. There's cars all over the track. Hayden Swank and Brett Hahn have caught up to this group as well as Nicholas Casey. Darling just in front. Swank just behind. Hahn trying to keep Casey on the high side. As Swank looks to make the move on Darling now. Darling has fallen back quite considerably. Stephen Hoffman able to somehow make that strategy work so far though. Different story behind the 86 machine as it is to the 88. Ten laps to go. We are winding down the clock as Brett Hahn has made that move on Darling just ahead. Is Swank checking him up? That's not going to be the greatest of moves, hindering the run, and we've got a caution come out. And it looks like it's going to be Hoffman coming back on track just briefly there. Just getting into the wall a little bit. Tries to block Cardi from coming through. And Cardi just has a little bit too much of a run and just gets into the back and turns him. Look at the opposite lock of the steering wheel. Fantastic stuff. Little bit of a sore behind as he goes down onto the apron from the banking. Not too much issue and continues to roll. So watching in real time now. Just a very slight touch. Fantastic save. These drivers all know how to race. That's for certain. It's Payne almost matching the pace truck for design, I just realized. So that's an interesting coincidence I didn't expect to see here tonight, and I haven't noticed until just now as Payne follows the pace truck around. Lights are out. We're going to have a crazy shootout to end this one. Single file start, it looks like, as well. So Payne is going to be up front at the moment. There's a list for you there. Franklin Evans in second. Brian Wilderson in third. Fleury in fourth. Hayden Swank in fifth. And Charles Darling will be in your sixth spot. So Hoffman, we saw just behind there, I believe came down a second time to get the other tyres put on his machine. Has decided after that wreck that he's going to find it a little bit too loose, so wants to get something done about it. Probably a good idea. Get ready to send them off one final time, hopefully, as we get ready. 10 laps to go. Andrew Payne making his way through the checkered flag as Wilderson right on the bumper of Evans just behind. Charles Darling under fire as well from Brett Hahn just behind. As Fleury tries to make his way under Wilderson, going for the big block. Wilderson somehow keeping Fleury behind him. Fleury says no. Huge run. Nice use of banking there by the 25 machine. As Fleury has worked his way up quite a long way throughout the course of this run. And Fleury gets a little bit loose, but thankfully keeps it underneath him. We've seen that time and time again here at Rockingham. Oh, as Franklin Evans gets a little bit of a bobble, Brian Wilderson goes underneath, takes advantage. It was not appreciated by Franklin as Franklin hits him in the back just a little bit. And they go almost three wide, hinting at Wilderson stuck on the high side. Fleury getting around Evans and now on the attack of Wilderson as well. Fleury underneath Wilderson. Wilderson likes that high line though, and we've seen that time and time again, and able to use it to his advantage for the moment. A little bit further back, Brett Hahn just behind, I should say. Franklin Evans going underneath him. As Brett Hahn makes his way underneath. Ruining his drive off a little bit. Franklin might try something here as... No, almost getting a much better run through the middle of the corner though is Evans. Stuck behind Hahn though, as Fleury could not catch up to Wilderson just in front either. Meanwhile, Payne has almost checked out to a 1.5 second lead. Ahead of this ongoing battle for second position just behind. Little bit of a ways back, Donovan Carty trying to work his way around Zach Rush. It's going to be for 14th place. Rush gives him not too much room, almost causes him to check up on the bottom. But Carty able to get that position back without too many issues. As we go back, Franklin Evans is under fire now from Darling. And Brett Hahn just a little bit further up again for the third position, making his way around Fleury. And these cars, you can see, getting very loose on exit, continuing to do so. His drivers fighting tooth and nail, white knuckle racing. Brandon Dollar coming in, saying exciting finish. Well, it's not over yet, but it certainly is shaping up to be a good one. As we've got a car going into the wall a little bit further back, that's Franklin Evans. Going to lose a fair few spots. Andrew Payne going to take this home. Wilderson comes home in second. And Brett Hahn will be third. Just finishing 1/10 in front of Nick Fleury. A whole heap of action. And not too much time to take a breath. Payne celebrates here. We can see that pretty significant there. As Payne continues to celebrate here. Bring up a quick look at your race results. There they are. Andrew Payne with the win. Brian Wilderson and Brett Hahn in third position. Fleury and Charles Darling at home in fourth and fifth. get the drivers lined up here for an interview. Very first one we get in here, we're going to bring in Brett Hahn, if I can find him. Currently cannot find him. Ah, there he is. See if we can drag him up to us. Hahn, have you got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, I've got to ask, how was that race from your perspective? Because that looked absolutely insane. I cannot believe you made your way through the entire field.
Yeah, Gareth, I tell you what, it was an eventful race. Went through it twice with Nick Fleury giving me a little bit of a love tap there in 1 and 2 to bring out the first yellow. But yeah, these races are tough. I pull in double duty on Wednesday nights. I do a league race right before this, then jump in here. Usually miss qualifying and heat races. Just come out here and try my best with the setup. And I tell you what, I love Rockingham. It's such a fun place to race at.
Well, you sound hyped, and I'm not surprised. Unbelievable drive from that 71 machine. I could not have predicted, and I hope this doesn't sound too mean, but I would not have predicted from where you started to be talking to you at the end. I don't know what to say. How were you able to work your way through traffic that amazingly?
Yeah, Gareth. The key, especially here at Rockingham, is taking 1 and 2 as low as you can go. You know, really back up your entry, but overall, just trying to get on that throttle as soon as you can. But of course, do it with traction. You see a lot of times guys get really sideways off of two and whatnot. I could just really roll the middle really nicely, especially 1 and 2, and that's where I make all my moves. Get a big run down the backstretch, and then look to their inside. And yeah, I tell you what, I got a lot of passing practice here, and yeah, it was a blast. I'm so glad to be talking to you after it all went down. Been having a few bad races and whatnot, so to be on the podium definitely is a good boost of confidence.
So I have to ask you because I have to, if no one else, but just for my sake, it's Brett Hahn, right? Or is it Han? It's Han.
It's Han. Yep, the silent E gets everyone. So,
Yeah,
or I like to since the car's done up like a jet, you know, the racing nickname for myself is Brett the Jet as well, if that's easier to say.
oh, that's actually I quite like that, I have to admit. But um Han like Han Solo as well, so let's take your pick on which one's cooler.
Oh man, I've been repping the Brett the Jet logo slash brand, whatever you want to call it, for a while now, and fully embodied it. All the race cars are done up like it, and I tell you what, I think it rolls off the tongue. I know Han Solo's always pretty cool as well, but Brett the Jet, you know, takes the cake just a little bit more, in my opinion, at least on a race car.
All right, fair enough. So lastly, but definitely not leastly, who would you like to shout out for this third place here tonight? Fantastic racing.
Yeah, of course, you up in the booth at Team Goon Squad. Love going back, rewatching the broadcast. You guys do an awesome job. So, first and foremost, gotta shout out you guys. All the fellow competitors out here tonight. Nick ran an awesome race. That was a fun battle there at the end and going through that field, you know, racing everyone cleanly. It was a blast, like you said. Would love to do another 60 laps, I tell you what, because I feel like this car was just coming in. Of course, gotta give a shout out to my dad out here on track in the 7-Eleven machine. Gotta always shout him out. Of course, my grandma Grammy watching, the girlfriend watching, and all the other Brett the Jet fans watching out at home. Uh, we pick up another podium here. Of course, on the car, quick time, RHU for great teammates of Nick and Dave. And then uh, Turn 3 Racing Network also on the car, as well as Rogers Cars. You know, got to give a shout out to all those guys that make this car so fast. So, heck of a job. And we're pumped up over here, even with a third place.
Oh, I wouldn't, I don't doubt it for a second because, as I said, I mean, you made up 16 spots throughout that race. Oh, that's what I've got here. I'm sure it felt almost like a lot more to you. So I can't wait to talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, man, that would be the plan. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you some more. And yeah, we're going to go celebrate and keep on picking up, hopefully, 2 more spots. So have a great night, everyone watching, and you in the booth as well.
All right, thanks, Brett. All right, that was Brett the Jet, as he likes to call himself. Somehow I'm not surprised, definitely showing the afterburners towards the end of that race. Next up, we're going to get Brian Wilderson in here. Wilderson taking home the second position. Wilderson, you got a copy?
Hey Gareth, how's it going?
Hey, it is nice to talk to you, my friend. I could not believe that the way that race shaked out, it was action start to finish. And I guess just one thing I did want to ask you was, how is that outside line? Because you seem to be able to hold it up there longer and better than most other drivers.
Yeah, what a crazy race that was, and it was a blast to start off with. But yeah, I mean, I spent pretty much the whole race searching around the racetrack and trying to find a fast line, and I guess I found the top side pretty early. And honestly, I didn't even find out the bottom side was quicker until 3/4 of the way through the race.
Yeah, well, I mean, I I don't I'm struggling for words here, but uh yeah, it was great to see you. I couldn't believe that really the racing was just spectacular. I do have to ask, was there any thought in your mind when Hoffman and I believe it was Casey, no, it was Darling, choosing to do, I believe, two tires? Was there any thought in your mind that they would be able to stay up near the front, or did you know that they were going to drop further back?
No, I didn't. I didn't think they were going to be able to last very long. I thought that four tires is definitely the way to go with the fall off, and the amount of grip you have with for the first 5 to 10 laps on fresh tires is just it's just such an advantage over two tires. So I didn't think that they would be able to hang on with that. But you never know. You never know with these things.
Well, that is incredibly true. I agree with you on that one, but fantastic job. And who would you like to give a shout out to for this second place finish?
Just the admins here at the American Sim Racing Club, they do an amazing job each and every week putting on these races, and it's just clean, fun racing. And there's, as you can see, just good, hard racing the whole way throughout the field. It doesn't matter where you're at, everybody's um, just pushing as hard as they can in these races.
Yeah, well, we absolutely got a true example of that tonight. So great to talk to you, Brian, and I'm sure we'll see you up here in no time at all. All right, that was Brian Wilderson. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Payne. We're going to have to bring him in pretty quick here as we're going to match his pace out on track. How are you going, Andrew?
I'm doing well. How?
Well, we sort of blacked out a little bit there, but I believe you were going to ask how was I, and I am doing fantastically, but this is not about me. This is all about you, my friend. Somehow, some way, you found the car to be exactly perfect to the way you like to drive, and you just made almost mincemeat of the rest of the competition here tonight.
Yeah, the car was really good. Oh, I'm sorry, connection's having issues. You still got me?
Yes, I still have you.
Sorry, my I can latency bars dropping. No, car was really good. Did a sort of long run during practice to get a feel for what the long run would be like, and I was happy with where the car was in practice, and then qualified pole, won the heat, and knew I was in a good spot for the main event, and it was just a matter of managing tires, managing gap to the rest of the pack, and not doing anything dumb on my part, not catching the wall out of 2 or 4, and it was solid. I wasn't really looking forward to that caution. I wanted us to go long. I think me and Hayden were gonna have a pretty solid battle at the end there, but the caution came out, took 4 tires, and just kind of went from there. The last little bit of that run, that was the hardest I'd pushed all night. knowing that we weren't going to have a long run. Going to get a few cautions, but yeah, the car felt really good. Happy to get a win early in the season. Kind of get myself good momentum going into the rest of the season. Um, I know we are on a break. That we're coming up on a break next week for the holidays, but looking forward to coming back. I believe we're at the Bull Ring on the 28th, so in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. But yeah, the car was good. Car was fast, and it was a blast to race tonight.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. You will be at the Bull 2 weeks, so that will be an interesting to see, I'm sure. Um, I will have to say though, I've noticed every single driver this race particular has been struggling with the handling of these cars. Is it just the way that the car naturally is, or was it specifically at Rockingham that made it a little bit more tricky?
Well, Rockingham historically is known, it's abrasive, it's a tire eater, it is bumpy, it has that old surface, and I think these cars are a little bit more susceptible to the bumps. The NASCARs, I haven't been here in a while, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure on those, but all of these cars are to the ground. The tires, or not the tires, the bumps definitely get upset, or upset the cars. But at least for me, my goal was to not upset any of the tires, upset the car at all. If I slid the right rear at all front, I was backing it down big time. But yeah, this track is definitely it's a challenge, but it's fun if you can get the hang of it. And I think I think we I think I had a solid grasp on how this track was.
Well, it certainly seemed like that was no issue at all. As I said earlier on, that you were just absolutely sending it, really, for lack of a better word. But, I did notice one thing, just as a last sort of question to you. I'm just wondering. I noticed something as you were behind the pace car. Your paint scheme is surprisingly similar to that on the side of pace truck. Is there any similarity or anything there, or have you just not even noticed yourself? Andrew, we still got you?
You got me now.
Yes, I've got you now.
What? Sorry, my internet is absolutely having a hard time right now. I'm I'm glad the race is over. Yeah. You're asking about my design on the car. Yeah, that it is eerily similar to the pace truck. Um, Tanner was the one who did up the paint scheme. I was giving him a hard time about it when we raced during.
Right, we've got some issues once
Ye-
again. You know what, Andrew? If you come back on the mic, or if you can just hear me, um, paint job does look very good, regardless of how similar it may or may not be to the truck itself. And in regards to how your latency is doing, better to have it during the interview than during the race. That is for sure. So,
Yeah,
oh, we've got
sorry.
you. Oh, we've got you back.
Yeah, I closed iRacing. I closed a lot of stuff, so hopefully I can make it through the interview. My apologies on my connection front, but yeah, it was I got you the whole time. So but yeah, paint scheme is solid. Really like it, and looking forward to keep running it during these the rest of the season.
Yeah, it stands out very vivid, and we're going to be seeing it, I'm sure, near the top a lot more. Finally, just to get through the interview as quick as we can without the internet breaking down on us, who would you like to give a shout out to for this first place finish here tonight?
First and foremost, huge shout out to you and you guys at Team Goon Squad for broadcasting these races and putting in all the time and effort you guys do. You guys have put in a lot of time into the into ASRC and our short track short track series, and we really appreciate all of the effort you guys put in. Huge shout out to Tanner for putting on the series, putting on the league as a whole. It's a lot of fun. Huge shout out to all my partners: QuickTime Motorsports Media, Hall Metal Fab, Citrus Hot Sawn Mower, V&H Fresh, Ryko Performance. Huge shout out to all the fellow competitors, and huge shout out to my parents and grandparents for supporting me in all my forms of racing. And last but certainly not least, huge shout out to all the fans that come out and support the broadcast and support the league as a whole. Really appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to watch us drive cars around in circles. Uh, Definitely would not be here without your guys' support.
All right. Well, no, you've almost left me with a blush on my face. I've got to be honest. I'm feeling that one pretty hard. So, uh, thank you very much, Andrew. Ever the humble man and the super quick driver that he is. So, Andrew, one last time, if your internet can support it, thank you for talking to us and thank you for putting on a great show. And I'm sure we'll see you up here many times for the remainder of the season.
Yep, thank you.
All right, that was Andrew Payne finishing off the interviews with a little bit of a struggle on the internet side of things, but not too much of an issue, thankfully, as we will pull up the grid, not the grid, results one final time so you can get a look at where your favorite driver ended up. I have been Gareth McAllister, your host for this race at Rockingham Speedway, and I look forward to seeing you next time, same place, at the same time of day in the next, I believe, 2 weeks. We're having a break, so we see you then. Good night, everyone.